Commander Thekvar of the Hegemony 4th Fleet gazed at the tactical display with predatory satisfaction. 16 dreadnoughts, 42 cruisers, and over 100 support vessels hung in perfect formation around the human colony world of Kepler 442b. The primitive settlement below had no orbital defenses, no fleet to speak of, just mining operations and agricultural domes scattered across the planet's surface. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, mandibles clicking with barely contained excitement, "we're detecting a single vessel approaching from the outer system. It appears to be a human fighter craft." Thekvar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, the Zalathi equivalent of laughter. "One fighter? Against our entire fleet?" He leaned back in his command throne, carapace gleaming under the bridge lights. "Let it come. We'll make an example of human foolishness before we glass their pathetic colony." The lone fighter emerged from the shadow of Kepler 442b's largest moon, its hull scarred and patched from countless battles. Inside the cramped cockpit, Lieutenant Sarah Chen checked her weapon systems one final time. The neural link hummed against her skull, connecting her consciousness directly to her ship's AI. "They're hailing us," the ship's AI whispered into her mind. "Want me to answer?" "Put them through." Thekvar's image materialized on her small display screen, his alien features twisted in contempt. "Human pilot, you have exactly 30 seconds to turn around and flee before we reduce you to atoms. Your species' reputation for stupidity precedes you, but surely even you can see the futility." Sarah cut the transmission. The Zalathi commander stared at his blank screen for a moment before his rage boiled over. "All ships target that insolent gnat and—" His words died as the human fighter suddenly accelerated. But this wasn't the desperate charge of a suicidal pilot. This was something else entirely. The fighter began to dance. Sarah's consciousness merged fully with her ship's systems, the neural link allowing her to think at the speed of quantum processors. Time seemed to slow as she wove between the incoming barrage of plasma bolts and particle beams. Her fighter twisted through 3-dimensional space like a leaf in a hurricane. Yet every movement was precise, calculated, purposeful. The first Zalathi cruiser died before its captain even realized the human had fired. Sarah's ship carried experimental plasma cannons that violated every known law of physics, weapons that the galaxy's greatest scientists had declared impossible. The cruiser's shields collapsed instantly, and the follow-up shot punched straight through its reactor core. The explosion sent debris cascading through the hegemony formation. But Sarah was already gone, materializing behind a dreadnought that had been tracking where she used to be. Her cannons spoke again, and another ship joined the expanding field of wreckage. "Impossible!" Thekvar screamed at his tactical display. "How is it moving like that? Our sensors can barely track it." His tactical officer's voice trembled. "Commander, it's not just the speed. It's predicting our firing solutions before we've even calculated them. It knows where we're going to shoot before we do." Sarah's fighter phased through a wall of interceptor missiles, each one missing by mere centimeters. Her neural link wasn't just connecting her to her ship. It was connecting her to something far more vast and incomprehensible. The human military's greatest secret, an AI network that spanned every colony, every ship, every soldier. An intelligence that had been learning, evolving, preparing for this moment. She wasn't just one pilot fighting a fleet. She was the entire human species given form and fury. The Zalathi formation began to collapse as ship after ship fell to impossible shots, fired from angles that defied geometry. Sarah's fighter seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously, striking from vectors that shouldn't have been possible. When the hegemony ships tried to focus their fire, they found themselves shooting at empty space while death came from directions their weapons couldn't even aim. Thekvar watched his fleet die with growing horror.
"Send the distress beacon."
"Tell command we've encountered something beyond our understanding." But even as he spoke, he knew no message would escape this system. The human fighter wasn't just destroying ships. It was systematically eliminating every communication relay, every sensor array, every means of reporting what was happening here. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. When the guns finally fell silent, the space around Kepler 442b glowed with the funeral pyres of an entire hegemony fleet. Debris tumbled through the void, twisted metal still radiating heat from weapons that had carved through shields and armor like paper. Sarah's fighter hung motionless amid the destruction, its hull unmarked despite flying through the concentrated firepower of over 200 ships. The neural link gradually disengaged, leaving her alone in her cockpit once more, Nice flying, the ship's AI commented. Thanks. Sarah's voice was hoarse with exhaustion. How long before the next fleet arrives? Based on hegemony response times? 3 weeks, maybe 4. Should we warn the colonies? Sarah looked out at the field of burning wreckage. 200 ships reduced to scrap by a single human pilot, and the collective intelligence of her species. No, let them come. Let them all come. She turned her fighter toward home, leaving behind a debris field that would burn for days. In the depths of space, the twisted remains of the hegemony Fourth Fleet served as a monument to a simple truth that the galaxy was only beginning to understand. Humanity didn't just fight wars. Humanity was war, refined and perfected into an art form that lesser species couldn't even comprehend, and Sarah Chen was just getting started. The debris field still burns, they say, visible from the surface of Kepler 442b as a constellation of dying stars, a warning written in fire across the darkness of space. A message that would soon reach every corner of the galaxy. One human pilot had faced a fleet and the fleet had lost. The age of human expansion had begun,